DJTruthsayer.
Yep. Right. Slowly but surely it should be coming back, I think.
Things are coming to life. It
Yeah,
lives.
maybe.
It
We'll
lives.
see. We'll see. Oh boy. Oh boy, oh boy, oh boy, oh boy. Okay, well, yeah, there we go. That's solved it, I guess. Sort of. Oh well. Right, so, well, I guess we can jump into it. So, where do you want to begin?
Well, I think you should start by summarizing your points.
Oh god, I don't even remember all of them. Right,
Wow.
so... Okay, the first one, the first point that I make in the beginning of the video itself was basically about the fact that you jump into game as a new player, without any other previous knowledge of the series or whatnot else, and you're basically thrown in, and there's nothing. You've been told nothing, and off you go, essentially.
Now, this is the one part of this that I agree with you about, but on the other side of it, as I'll bring in as an argument shortly, there is a massive problem with doing that. But okay, carry on.
What? Okay, well, okay, fine.
Trust me, it'll make sense. Carry on.
Right, so basically you're thrown into game, you know nothing of the world, you don't know nothing of what is what, or what you're supposed to do, and that's also partly a gameplay issue. But today we're not talking about gameplay issues, we're talking about the story. So, yeah, you're thrown in, you don't know anything, and you're just left just wondering, and I guess doing whatever you want to do. And I guess that's the part of the blaze your own trail idea that devs seem to be so keen on boasting or touting in front of us and whatnot else. So, let's see. Well, that'd be the first point. So, I don't know. Do I need...
Okay.
I don't know if I can go in detail more than that.
Okay, let's talk about this argument that when you start the game, the player is given no real information. Yeah?
No nothing. Just simply you get your Sidewinder and that's it. You can already start playing and doing whatever you want.
Yep. So, I kind of agree with you. One problem with it, though.
Yeah.
And that problem is as follows. Any video that explains lore to the player at that point is going to lie through its fucking teeth to the player by necessity. Is it a good idea? And I'm not saying that it isn't. I'm asking this as a question. Is it a good idea to open the game by lying to the player?
Okay, so you're asking me that, and yes, I do think any fiction is a lie. Whether the question is, do you believe the fiction that is being told to you?
So you would prefer that at the beginning you were told a load of information that in reality is completely wrong?
Yeah, I see absolutely nothing wrong with that.
Okay. That's interesting. Why do you think that's okay?
Right, so, let's start with the simple, I suppose, analogy here. So, well, let's say you're starting to read a book. Or, well, yeah, or watching a cartoon, for example. Let's say, yeah, basically what Elite is, like, skipping, you know, basically 10, 20, maybe even 30 pages down in the book, and starting to consider that as your starting point for reading. Now, do you think that's a great idea? Because well, you know, a new player, take me for example, wouldn't really know what this world is about, as to where you stand, as to what humanity has actually done in this whole time. When it comes down to storytelling, you have to establish things, and that's what I'm looking for. I'm not looking for any sort of sides here. I'm rather looking for a simple establishing sort of narrative as to what the world is, what you find in this world, what humanity has done, you know, where you stand, what are the powers, these little things, these little questions that need to be answered. Otherwise you're left wondering, scratching your ass, or head in this case, and yeah, you never know really what is what. To this day, do anyone in the chat really knows how Empire started, or how Federation started? Where was the separation? Or, you know, let's take for example why Alliance exists in the first place. Okay, well, they exist, fine. Okay, you don't need explanations as to where they started, but what are they? What really are they? The question is, yeah, how are Empire and Federation different? That's also kind of important, don't you think? So,
Absolutely.
in general, basically my issue with the way this game introduces a new player is, well, fairly simple. You find yourself thrown into this universe where things are already happening, and people that are in them already know what they are, but you need this out of water fish sort of character, or someone as a guide to you, you know, to help you understand what is happening. Otherwise, how are you supposed to know, you know, whom to join, or perhaps why things are happening, in at least the vaguest sense? Well, let's, for example, right now, take a good couple of games. PlanetSide would be a great example. It doesn't have much of a story at all. Everything is in online, but the way PlanetSide introduces the new player or new character for whenever you create a, you know, whatever character, you get this screen where, you know, something is jumping around the screen itself, and you're just basically told that you're part of this faction, now go kill people. And even that is more than Elite has done thus far. And alright, then next example for me would be Warframe. Don't we all love Warframe these days? And thank you, Gemma.
Sorry.
Yeah, that was DJ's fiance or wife? Yes, yes, right. Keep forgetting. Sorry. Anyways, yeah.
That was her opening the slide door in our flat. I do apologize.
Yeah, you need to grease that fucking thing, dude. Anyways, moving on. So let's take Warframe for example. You create a new character, and you have this intro mission where you are told basically what is Tano, the character that you are basically playing. You know, what is the world? Why have you woken up, and so on. In this game, you get nothing. Do you think that's a great way to start the game?
Right. So, first things first, I agree with you about new player interactions. Like, the way that new players are brought into the game. That I do agree with you about. I don't think there is a simple solution to it.
There is a simple solution.
Wait, please. I don't agree with you about lying to people at the outset. Yeah? I honestly don't. I don't think that feeding the players a bunch of information, which from their point of view, so you start a game, yeah? And well, no, I don't know. It would either be very, very, what's the right term? Like, you would either feel cheated, or it could be used incredibly cleverly. Because, and this is, you know, part of my key point. The story of Elite Dangerous is conspiracy. That's the story. Everything that's going on. Right? And that story is told in a great number of ways, which we'll get into later. But whilst I'm happy with a new player just being dumped into the galaxy and it's like, there's the galaxy, on you go, I do agree with you that the lack of any way of finding out who the in-game factions are and what their history is without seeking out external sources. Now, this is another part of the argument that we'll get to later as well, which is that Elite is intrinsically a multimedia project. It's not just a computer game, and that is very much part of this. But you're right about the fact that most people, as you say, don't know how the Federation started. Most people don't know how the Empire started.
And technically, they don't really need these pieces of information.
Right.
The point is, the point that I'm trying to make is...
But there's no way to find them even if you seek it out, unless you go outside of game, other than a few of the lore beacons and that sort of thing.
Of course. So, the point I was trying to make there, which you seem to kind of, I don't know...
I do kind of agree with this
Not quite
one.
understand there. The point was, you're thrown into this universe. Now, please, game, tell me what this universe is all about. You know, because that's the thing. I don't need your stupid narrative for a lore for one of these stupid factions. I don't give a fuck. I need to get a reason to care about them.
Can we at least have? Can we at least have the idea of something like a
well, this is
the year is 3304.
Exactly.
Even if it was just a bit of text when you first loaded the game up. The year is 3304. The corporatized Federation rules Earth.
Another system, blah 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 blah.
The autocratic
Empire does the blah, blah,
rules
blah, blah.
from Akanar, and Alioth is led by the Democratic Alliance.
That's the
Something
thing.
like that to at least set the tone. Yes, I agree with
you. Need something to start off the story. Because, again, I take that good old example of writing a book here. You know, you will ask any sort of writer, you know, how do you start a book? Okay, well, there are different ways to start the story and whatnot else. But the bottom line is, eventually, somehow, you need to give at least some sort of perspective point, or at least a point of, I don't know, reference as to where the world that you are being told this fiction about is different from where you live right now. Because, of course, we have reference to our normal lives, okay, we have year 2000, whatnot else, but now, in the game, it's year 3000 something something. So what has happened in that? I don't give a fuck. It's basically some kind of year, and something is happening, or the world has changed, or universe has changed in some way. Now, of course, you know, you explain the basic premise of as to what is happening, or what or how is, you know, things operating. Where, you know, for example, let's see if I can actually oh, right. Oh, actually, yeah. My greatest example, or my favorite cartoon, Avatar, The Last Airbender. The fucking intro of that cartoon is basically explaining what the world is. You know, 4 nations divided, you know, between the elements and whatnot else, and then Fire Nation attacked. Simple. Simple setup. You got 4 nations separated relatively, and then one of the nations attacks. Okay. You got the conflict already down, you know, more or less what type of factions they are, you know, the elements, whatnot else. And there you go. In Elite, you got absolutely fucking nothing. And that's the thing, I don't care, you know, about your lore, or your 2 or 3 different random fucking factions somewhere doing what the fuck else there is. There has to be some sort of level ground, you know, explaining the player, the newcomer, what is this, you know, world that you've been thrown into? Why is this technology like this? Or where did it come from? Or, you know, how humanity has progressed. Otherwise, without that knowledge, you're just left wondering, okay, I don't know what to do, or who they are, or the fuck is going on.
Part of that is that's to try and, I believe, and this is a belief, I believe that part of that is to incentivize you to start looking.
Okay, okay, again, example, analogy from a book.
I'm not saying that's right, but I think that might be why it is, to actually incentivize you to start searching for. the history
I
and the
write
story.
a book,
And
I create a universe, and then
Yeah.
throughout many different pages I sprinkle in some lore and don't really organize pages correctly. Fuck it, go search for story then, or how they are supposed to go together.
But you're not right. They're not writing a book. They're creating.
They're
a
not
game.
writing a book, but that's the difference. You're establishing a universe, not a
Yes.
story. You're establishing some kind of, you know, that's the thing. The more important thing about creating a story is also establishing the universe. Well, this game simply doesn't do that. At all.
No, I agree with you.
So,
As I said,
there we go.
this is one thing we do.
Any
agree
other
on,
problems?
Yeah?
So the
Not
first
with
point
this
was
part.
basically,
Like,
yeah, the player's
with this
thrown into
part,
the
I
game.
do
There's
agree
no
with you. I don't think there's an
universe
easy
establishment.
solution. I don't think there's an easy solution. You seem to think that it's just
There
put in a
is.
video or a bit of... I don't think it is that simple. Part of it
See-
is... So okay, Yamiks.
Okay.
As an example, right? If you want to establish this stuff, right?
Yeah.
If you want to give the player a grounding on galactic history,
You don't
just
need
as an
grounding on
example.
galactic history. You need
how do you set the
establishment
scene-
of
how
the
do you set the
universe.
scene? Okay, so how would... What do you mean? What's the difference between a grounding in galactic history and establishing the universe?
History is
That's-
lore, essentially.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's basically history.
As
itself.
is everything else to do with the galaxy that's happening at the moment. Yeah.
Well, universe establishment is basically describing what is in the universe, describing
Right.
what is and what is happening in some kind of
But
way.
and you were saying about
example.
how, as an example, you said about explaining why the technology is the way it is.
That's just an example, of course. You can
Yeah.
take the tech angle, for example. Okay, you can have. You asked, you know, how. There's no easy way to give universe establishment for a new player. That's probably the easiest thing to do. There are so many different ways to do it. I mean, fuck. Plenty of people have said, you know, you could do a cutscene, you know, 5-minute cutscene, just basically, you know, explaining the person. There could be involved a story mission, for example, that has, you know, that training mission where you get repaired. That commander also might mention something. Oh, the Federation is attacking, and I must run to Empire. And in that just one sentence, you establish 3 things: Empire, Federation, and they are fighting in between. In that one sentence, that's the thing. There are so many different ways to establish a lore, story, especially the universe itself. It's surprisingly easy.
I do think the tutorials are a missed opportunity. I think
Indeed
you
it
could
is.
use those for more like they are a way to start. To be honest, for me, the way
Warframe
I'd set
used
those
its tutorial
tutorials up-
fantastically, by the way.
I disagree. I think the tutorial in Warframe is horrible, but that's a personal opinion.
Oh, okay, fair enough.
Yeah. But I do see your point about the Warframe tutorial. Whilst I don't like that particular example, that's more of a personal thing rather than I do see your point about what they've achieved. Yep.
Warframe just
Now,
throws sentences at you. That's the problem.
With the tutorials in Elite Dangerous, I don't understand why they aren't literally laid out as Pilots Federation lessons.
I can't answer that.
Again, by doing that, look at what you're doing, just as you say, with that one sentence, Again, as if they're Pilots Federation missions, look at the amount that you're establishing just by doing that. They're not missions, they're Pilots Federation, like, training exercises,
sessions, oh, yes.
Right? Right,
Of course,
by doing
of course.
that, and you know, the lady is a lady from the and also, I have to say, that would also then allow you to drop in one line, which would give players a hook into what the real story of Elite Dangerous is actually about. You mention something like the Dark Wheel, or you mention the Circle of
You
Elite
can
Pilots.
do whatever you want.
One single word at that point would allow you to
Spark a mystery, and there you go.
to actually, and that is my biggest complaint with the beginning of Elite Dangerous. There's no hint as to, not even for the most, you know, no matter how much you look at it, there is no hint as to what what you're really looking for and what the story of Elite Dangerous really is.
Indeed.
And the story of Elite Dangerous,
Yeah.
and this is where, you one of your complaints was the delivery of story, and you like the Palin mission, yeah. Apart from the fact that it does. No, wait.
Palin, no, that was the Ramta.
Oh no, not the Ramtar mission. I apologise. Yeah. Sorry, not the Palin one. Yep. You like the Ramtar mission, apart from the fact that you have to use a spreadsheet. We'll ignore that. The codex is coming later. We'll
basically the whole gameplay aspect of it is just pretty bad, but
I hate
the idea is okay. Okay.
I utterly despise it. It's one of the worst things they've ever done as storytellers and within the game of Elite Dangerous.
So we're changing a topic to that?
Well, no, not that in particular.
Not yet?
But
okay.
That method of storytelling. And this is where you were saying about MMO quests and things like that to use.
That's a great
example. Right, now, I don't think they should do that. And I think, actually, they're telling one of the most involving and interesting stories I've ever seen in a computer game. But...
It might be involving, it might be interesting, but go figure out and find the beginning of it, or even a scribble of it.
Well, the beginning of it is roughly 1950. Where the Elite Dangerous galaxy splits off from our own timeline.
And that was described in a book, right?
No, absolutely not. No,
which game
that's
in
not
that
written
case?
anywhere. No, not written anywhere.
Oh God, it's even better. Okay.
Not written anywhere. The only reason we know that is because when you look at the history of, as an example, the 1980s, it is massively different to the 1980s in our world. In reality, that is explaining the bits of the story that to step out of story for a moment, yeah? In reality, that is explaining the bits of the story that don't add up because the original backstory was written in 1984. Yeah? And obviously, we're now in 2016. There's that big gap and things have changed, yeah? And so it's a way of explaining that away. As an example, in the Elite Dangerous galaxy, by the point in time that we're at now, they had huge overpopulation problems on the Earth and huge environmental problems. We're not talking like we have. We're talking real environmental problems.
Get to the point.
The Dust Bowl is back in America and all that sort of thing. No, this is kind of part of my point. The story of Elite Dangerous goes all the way back to them. And...
Okay.
That's when it starts. Where does it finish? Well, it doesn't. It's still going.
Yeah.
Yeah, right? Where is it? Literally everywhere. And I really do mean that. Literally everywhere. One of my favourite storytelling techniques Frontier use is the community goals. And I'm not talking about the pathetic bit of lore and story that comes with them. That is not what I'm talking about.
I think it's randomly generated because they love the fucking RNGs so much.
No, not what I'm talking about. What I'm talking about is the genius way that they use the community goals to literally scream to you, if you look at them, that something else is clearly going on. Yeah? And they do it all the time when community goals will ask for things. And you look at it and you just go, that makes no fucking sense whatsoever. And no, it doesn't, until you take the bigger story into picture, and then all of a sudden it starts clicking into place. And the honest truth is that there are microscopic details like that dotted in almost everything that goes on in Elite Dangerous.
Well, good for them. I don't particularly care, but okay, fine.
But that's how they're telling the story. They're telling it with the galaxy and with the things that go on. Because, right, so at this point, I'm going to have to put out a bit of a warning that I can't really talk much more without spoiling some of Premonition.
Okay. I probably ain't gonna read that anyways, but alright, fine. You know, screw it.
And
I'm
Steve
here
Shaw,
anyways.
I'm not talking about the CGs being a good gameplay mechanic. I'm not talking about, as I said, the story that comes with them. Talking about how they use them to actually tell a story.
Well,
so, if
give them an
Alan Cameron,
example.
this is tinfoil hat material. Yes, it is, absolutely, because that is the entirety of the plot of Elite Dangerous. Premonition, which is the official book that went alongside the last year of Elite Dangerous, roughly going up till, when was it? November last year, something like that. Anyway, the novel that went alongside Elite Dangerous revealed the existence of a group called the Club. The Club is made up of 5 individuals, and basically they control everything. One of the things that's utterly confirmed in the book is that President Hudson of the Federation literally takes orders from them, and is physically terrified of them to the point that he will not look at the person that brings him messages. This is the President of the Federation. Yeah? Arissa is working against them. She knows they exist. She's working against them. And they're using Hudson to feed her with false information.
Okay.
They control literally everything. One of the things that I like this community goal thing where I'm going on about this and everyone's like, you're crazy. Before the book, everyone thought I was mental. Then in the book, it literally says that is what is going on. It is spelled out in those exact words. The missions in the missions from Shimrata Desra to do with the Dark Wheel are all bullshit, designed to lead you astray and to further confound you and confuse you. So many things like that are all over the fucking game. And
you lost me already, but okay.
Well, no, okay, so part of the beauty and part of the problem with Elite Dangerous as it is, right, is that, as I was saying earlier, it's a multimedia project. It isn't just a computer game. Yeah? The book, Premonition, is the most obvious example of it. It was a book that literally told a story that interacted with the events that we led in-game. And so things that happened in-game were reflected in the book. And it's well written. It's worth a read.
Okay.
But that book establishes that all of this is actually going on. That all of us that for years were going on about, no, this is all nonsense, were completely right. Even down to the ratcheting up of war between the Federation and the Empire that's going on at the moment is all staged purely just to allow them to build up military to defend against the Thargoids. That's the entire reason for it. And the only reason for it.
Still not hearing why I'm wrong. But okay, moving on.
Okay, so
fine.
You would have it, right, so you would have it, every player gets a quest that says, essentially, and obviously not this exactly, but go and talk to the shady geezer in the pub about the thing, yeah? And you go and talk to the shady geezer in the pub, and he's like, it's all dodgy. And you get led down this garden path, and every player is led down this garden path, yeah? That's how you would have it.
I didn't quite say that, but...
No, but that's true. That's the outcome of the design philosophy. So how would you do it then?
All right. So
how
would
would you tell this story using the mechanics you described in your video? I'd love to hear it because please prove me wrong.
Yeah, shut the fuck up.
I'll be happy. I'm shutting up.
Okay, thank you. Fantastic. It would be nice that you shut the fuck up once and I stop.
I'm sorry.
Anyway, it's alright. It's alright. It's just funny. Anyways, right. So how would I let's say you're so keen on creating a conspiracy or some sort of additional story on the background while, you know, the player's doing his thing. Okay, so there's a mission. You're tasked to go and rescue, I don't know, a ship or somewhere. Something like that. Go refuel a ship somewhere. Okay. Mission could be in two ways. One way where you make it in time, and that, you know, whatever person that you are rescuing doesn't give you anything rather than just a thanks and moves on, or you don't arrive in time and the person leaves, you know, some sort of, I don't know, a log behind, or a scrap of paper, or something, some kind of information that would lead in some ways to, you know, undesignated place or in base or something like that. You know, these little side notes. You're basically failing the mission, yet you are getting, you know, a piece of information somewhere. Or, for example, at the same time, while completing a mission for, well, something seemingly innocent thing, you are led to a place where, you know, if you go a little bit out of your way, just sidestep a little bit from the quest for a second, you find I don't know, again, some sort of conspiracy paper or something like that. That's the thing. You know, you can incorporate these little...
Is this an RNGesus quest, or is this a quest that you would have set? So
that's a crafted proper mission instead of rather RNGesus created one. Come on.
So as somebody like has pointed out, so then every player ends up saving the galaxy.
And the problem being, at this point you can do the same thing. Every player can go and decode the, you know, Targoid ruins or whatnot else himself as well. That's the same problem right now. Every player in the game can do the same thing all the time.
Yes and
What's
no.
your difference? Okay, do tell.
If an event happens and you're not there,
shit.
you
Phone
don't
call.
take part.
Damn it.
Oh, phone call was that?
Oh, give me a sec.
No problem.
Yeah, I'll mute everything.
And
microphone muted.
See, this again is for me something that's at the core of Elite. We as individuals do not matter. We aren't the center of the story. We're just a grain of sand, nothing more. And that is, again, part of, like, and, you know, you might not like that. I'm not saying that you're going to like that. But that is the design philosophy that Frontier have taken, and it is the way the story will be will continue to be told.
Alright, so, well, the idea of a player not being the main hero of the story...
You're not the protagonist, are you?
Yeah, that's the thing. Okay, fine. That's no problem at all. Sure, okay, fine. It's not the first time something like this has been made into a story. Yes, there have been instances before where basically a show, book, or whatever else is following just another random bloke that is interacting with the world as he is. And, you know, is basically, you know, just going through motions and just going along for the ride. This wouldn't be really the first time something like that's happening. Now, when it comes to storytelling, again, alright, honestly, I don't know really what else to say. Sure, you don't need to create missions where you're basically rescuing salami or something like that. You don't need that, then don't create it. Just... when it comes down to discoveries and things like that, okay, fine, you're not the first one to discover them, but at least leave them in for others to enjoy and just participate in. You don't necessarily need to be just, you know, the main guy.
But then that just creates paradoxes.
And paradoxes in a way... how?
Like, well, if something is story related and it happens over a set period of time and then others can go back and do it, then that doesn't work with the way Elite is set up, does it? Elite is an ongoing, moment-by-moment, real-time game. Yeah? There is no going back in time. That's part of the beauty of it. And a lot of people are saying that they want to be able to see their effect on the game.
That's a different story, honestly.
You can. And you can.
UA bombing.
Well, that's one method. There's there's multiple ways to manipulate the background sim in different ways that you can.
Yeah, that's boring
that you
stuff
can have
that I don't
quite
care
large
about
impact in the game with. That is stuff that happens. Also, as for impact in the story, look at Emperor's Dawn.
That's a game.
And I hate bringing this up. I utterly fucking hate bringing this up because it's my biggest mistake. But look at Emperor's Dawn. Emperor's Dawn was an entire story that we never really went through because the entire player base went no and squashed. Like, Emperor's Dawn lost very quickly, essentially, was the story that happened. Frontier had a huge amount of plot worked around that we never got to see because no one would support terrorists. Turns out that's where the player's line was. Yeah, we'll quite happily deal with slave traders and pirates and all that sort of thing, but terrorists, that's where our line is.
Terrorism. Oh boy. Right, so just
and so, well, no, the thing is, when you start introducing quests, when you start introducing something that every player can play through, yeah?
Yeah.
The guides players particularly into this story, yeah? I mean, look at how many people in your chat are going, well, this is all tinfoil shit. Well, no, it's not. None of it's tinfoil shit. There's written proof of every single thing I've said. None of it is tinfoil in any way, shape, or form. That is what is going on in the story of Elite Dangerous.
Right.
But an awful lot of people, in reality as well, would be like, no, that's tinfoil bullshit. Yeah?
Alright,
so even that can be regarded as part of the fucking story.
Okay, well...
In a roundabout way. No, don't get me wrong, I'm not claiming that's on purpose, but you see my point, yeah?
Alright, so, okay, so basically this is touching on whenever I talked about the ancient ruins, essentially, so we're at that point at this point.
And
anyways,
just, you,
right,
and it's about how you seem to want them to use MMO storytelling techniques. Go.
Yeah, so, for example, okay, so there's, player X is the first one to discover, ancient, I don't know, the Targoid site. The first player decoded and whatnot else went for the Targoid site, right? Okay, now, would you really say that immediately after that ruin or that site or that discovery is made, no one else shouldn't be able to discover it or, play through sort of the same scenario through
Depends if it's destroyed at the end, doesn't it? If it's still there, then other people can go there. What's the problem? If it's not still there, then no, other people shouldn't be able to go there, right?
And, yeah.
That's simple enough.
In a way, that's the thing. For example, right now, yeah, Ramta mission, yeah. Let's say one day, I don't know, Federation decides that well, fuck it, we're just sick and tired of players. We're just gonna nuke every single ancient Guardian ruin, and that's it. No more ancient Guardian ruins at all in the places we found them. I personally find that basically deleting, well, that's your story, that's your universe. You can make it like that. You can change the game world the way you see fit, but would that make for an interesting story? Or, no, it wouldn't really, because that particular segment of the history or the event, something like that, is just deleted, and that's it, boom, it's gone.
No, I agree.
Is there a real reason?
The archaeological sites, it makes sense for people to go back to them. I don't like their execution with the archaeological sites, personally. I think it is far too MMO-y. I think it is far too everyone's the fucking hero nonsense. Yeah?
So, okay, well, in that case...
But I do appreciate the sites themselves and the lore that they tell, if that makes sense.
Yeah,
I just think the way they went about that particular story...
Okay, so let's take an example, extreme example here. Again, so by that thinking process, okay, so the first player discovers something, and it's, let's say, a Targoid vessel, one of a kind, and he scans it, or he has to destroy it to get further information. That's it. He's the only one. He destroys it. That's it. No one else can do it. No one else can find that thing. Would you think that that's a good thing? Probably not. That's the same thing. Repeating the story, or rather an event that has happened in the game. There are events, of course, that shouldn't in a way be repeated, but most sort of historical events ought to be still played throughable, or whatever the case is. Like, you know, the Ramta mission. Yeah, I was rather dismayed when I, you know, kind of read that, oh, we're not gonna offer the Ramta mission anymore. But that's the thing. It wasn't, you know, a hero thing. It was more just an enjoyable little thing to do while you learn a little bit about, you know, this Guardian race and so on and so forth. And you shouldn't really be punished, or you should still be able to replay it. And there you go. That's the thing. How would, for example, previous, or rather new players learn about the history of a thing if no one really ever documented it? That's basically
again, there's introducing new players. I agree with you about. Yeah, the way they do that, as said, that needs work. As I was saying, the tutorials as a perfect example, just a missed opportunity. Yeah? But ongoing storytelling, like a lot of people in your chat are saying, but this is a story we can't read or see or anything like that. Yeah, you can. If you want to read it, go and read Premonition. Literally as simple as that. If you want to read it, go and read Premonition. Read any of the other books around the game. Hang on, no. Go to the lore. Go to the lore beacons.
Oh boy.
A lot of this information is in game. Look at the CGs. Look at another good example. Look at the one thing that's always in game that pays far too much money.
I like this little quote. Do homework to understand the lore of the game. Yeah, it's yeah.
What, reading a book is homework now?
Not exactly. That's basically just doing the story narrative drive or storytelling instead of the game itself. You know, the beacons are a great example of a missed opportunity for some kind of a story mission or history lesson or something like it, you know. Ramta mission is a great example in my mind, because you are basically, you know, at the same time, while you are collecting some data for just because money, you're also given some information about the world, or about this specific aspect of the game. That's the thing, you can intervode the fucking conspiracy in the background. That's the thing. But if it's a conspiracy, it shouldn't be in the forefront, unless it's, I don't know, a mission or something like that specifically designed for a specific guild or something, but that's not the point. You create missions, again, the MMO aspect of the game. Well, you put in a mission, okay, fine, there's a mission, you do something, and in the meantime, you have the opportunity to sort of go and, you know, look up some alternative sources while you're doing the mission, or you're nearby that alternative information and what else, and from that you can stitch together that conspiracy if you really want to. When it comes to the whole hero thing, you seem to be really interested in that, you know, hero or nothing mentality in a way, because if you're basically being able to, you know, do the mission for lore or story in this case, you're automatically a fucking hero. Why can't many people do, you know, story mission? just being average Joes. Basically, average Joes given, you know, this mission. That's it. And through that mission, you know, learn a little bit about the world. And there you go. So, yeah.
Again, my argument isn't with bringing new players up to speed. Like, I agree with you on that. Over and over, yeah? My argument is that when you say about things like bringing MMO type... Like, a lot of people are saying that they want to be the hero. Go and play any other game. Literally.
You're talking about
name
other
me
people.
another game where you're not. Name me another
Okay.
game where you're not the hero.
That's there's no point, dude.
Yeah, no, seriously, like Elite
Other
isn't that
other
game,
people can
and
say different things.
Elite isn't that game, and it never will be. Sorry, carry on.
It's fine, but I'm not saying that. You are here not to discredit other people. You're here to discredit me.
To discredit you. Yes,
there
agreed.
you go. So come on.
Agreed. But no.
If it's a part of a point, go ahead.
If you start leading people into this story so much, like you're suggesting that you do, you lose the point of the story. And it's a tightrope. How do you introduce people into this story? Yet in the end, like literally, they did in the end spell it out. That was half of the point of Premonition. It literally spelled all of this out. Yeah, because people were still not getting there. That shows that they could do better.
Okay, so
there's no argument there.
You have an issue with leading leading person through the story.
In this game, yes.
Yeah. Well, see, my problem is the fact that there's absolutely no leading at all. That's the thing. You're thrown into the thing. You don't know what's happening or how things work at all. And that's the thing. You don't even need to lead people anywhere or whatnot else. You just need to explain what things are, and that's not really being done in this game. But okay.
No, again, I'm not going to argue with you about bringing new players up to speed. This again, yeah.
Yeah.
My argument is on storytelling techniques. Yeah. And you're saying they should use these traditional MMO stories. Unless I completely misunderstood what you were saying there.
Well,
you certainly seem to be suggesting that they should be using traditional MMO storytelling techniques. I want them to stay as far away from anything that is labelled traditional MMO as possible. Because that isn't what Elite Dangerous is, and I don't want it to become a traditional MMO. Elite is something special. It is something different, and I love it for it, and so do a lot of other people. I'm not saying everyone is going to. I'm not saying you have to love it, either. Let me make that clear here.
It's fine.
But I don't want it to become an MMO. Yeah? I don't want it to become this game where everyone is the hero of this same fucking narrative. Yeah? I don't want that. And I want the stories that we get from Elite Dangerous. Yeah? I want the times that stuff comes together and creates incredible story from nowhere. I love the story that is created by player groups. I love
basically
the way
players creating organic history. Yes, that's all
that stuff
fine
is
and
beautiful.
dandy.
Well, that's incredible.
That's fine and dandy.
My biggest complaint with Frontier and Story is that they slowed down and then closed off player Galnet submissions. And I think that made the Galaxy a much more sterile and boring place. I think that added a lot of colour and a lot of flavour to the Galaxy that they've lost since then.
Okay, how about this little interesting question then in that case? Do you think that there is, or rather, would you say that there is or is not place for player, well rather, a simple story mission, you know, typical MMO style, where you are given quests, you gotta go and do something like that alongside, you get, you know, Ramta wants to, I don't know, gin or tonic or something like that, and you got to go and pick up that from this one particular merchant and then bring it back. Well, in the meantime, basically, you know, that merchant tells you why Ramta wants the gin and tonic or something like that.
Yeah.
Would you say that that's something that this game doesn't need at all?
Yes, I would.
Okay, so yeah.
And
okay.
I would argue forcefully against them wasting the time on developing such nonsense. That's genuinely my opinion. I know it's not everyone's opinion again, but that
Okay.
is my opinion. Yeah.
That's an interesting little thing.
I
Fair
would
enough.
rather that they spent the time developing things that are actually going to improve the core game
Balance.
and not try and make the game something that it isn't.
Balance. We need balance. But okay,
The new
that's
engineering changes help with that, but
bullshit.
that's a different. No, they introduced a cap.
The funny thing is, I'm expecting not to get any fucking balance on that as well.
They introduce a new.
I hope
cap
you will
that-
prove me wrong.
I think in a couple of months' time, it's going to be a bit interesting to see what ships people are like the you know the higher level players.
We'll see. Okay.
are
Anyways, that's
flying
about a
around
different
in.
thing. Anyways, okay, fine. A random topic then. Let's move on. I don't know, some other thing that you want to prove me wrong on. Anything comes to your mind from that video that I was wrong on?
What else did you say? I'm trying to go back to the video.
Let's see.
Because a lot of it comes back to this core argument that you do seem to want them to, and you know, this isn't just born from this video. This is born from the fact that Yamiks and I are
It's
actually
not-
friends
yeah.
and do talk from time to time.
Yeah.
And we don't agree about an awful lot of things, and.
See, people, that's how you can get along without punching each other or murdering. This is how you know, solve issues. By talking and
And we
understanding or
might not
trying
come
to
away
understand
agreeing
each
with
other.
each other. Yeah, we might not come away agreeing with each other.
So
but
there you go,
hopefully,
a good message of the day. Love
Yeah.
each other and not hit each other.
right? Hit each other with words, not words and arguments, not fists and insults. Yes, that sort of thing.
Anyways.
But no, I do like the one thing that I would like, as I said, is that you would that those tutorial missions, I think, turning them into a Pilots Federation thing would be a great idea. Let's be
There's
honest.
just need an introduction into the universe, and that needs to happen. Unfortunately, this is a thing that I asked the Planet Side to do. This is a thing that many other games are still having problems with. Because, okay, so let's... Yeah, I'm a plebeian when it comes to story or this franchise in general. So, correct me if I'm wrong, but if I remember correctly, there was like 3 other games before Elite Dangerous with the Elite title, plus 1 game that wasn't, right? Or not?
Yeah, and that's half of the... For those of us that are heavily into the lore, they actually present far more problems than they do solutions.
So, yeah, basically,
Because they Frontier pick and choose which bits are canon and which bits aren't.
Yeah, so essentially, I'm completely new to this whole franchise. A great idea is to just throw me into the game, not giving me any sort of explanation what is going on, and there you go. Yeah, I don't know what is going on. I don't know what happened in the previous couple of games, or you know, at least what they sort of changed for the lore or whatnot else. And that's the thing. When it comes to story, and that's why I named the video itself, you know, lazy storytelling. There's literally just no introduction for anyone or recap and so on and so forth. But we already agreed upon this one, I think.
Yeah, if
yeah.
that's your biggest problem,
That's
I can't disagree with
mostly
you
the
about
biggest
that.
problem, because when it comes to
it's the other stuff
and
you said in it that I
Yeah.
hold issue with, especially about the MMO side. Like, I disagree with you so much about that. I don't want Elite to become an MMO. I really, really don't. Or an MMORPG. I love this real-time weirdness that we're in Elite Dangerous, and I want it to keep happening. And you know, the coming story where we're clearly going to lose control of the bubble.
Who the fuck will see? We'll see. Just yeah.
That's gonna be exciting. That is.
I don't know. It's this game has the issue with, as I said already in the video itself as well. This game is suffering from the MMO storytelling curse, and that is basically either you deliver the story, the new happenings in one big bulk as a expansion, or you're just stretching it out so everyone has the chance to participate in it. And well, they are taking the case of stretching it out, which is really the only sort of approach they can take, because they don't really, release new expansions like World of Warcraft does. And so the whole stretching out is a big issue, as it gives people that are at least up to scratch into the story and so on and so forth, gives them time to sort of settle in and calm down and lose that particular tonal feel for the story or what is happening around. And when something new happens, oh well, should I care about it? Oh wait, it happened there, and what happened? I don't remember. Fuck my brain. There we go. No memory of what happened. No memory as to how you felt, and yeah, it's. Well, there's no cure for it. It's just basically just MMO curse. So yeah.
And yeah, that's something that I can't think
you can't
of
change. You can't change.
Yeah, I can't think of an MMO that's gotten that right. And that is part of the problem. And their problem is, of course, then confounded by the fact that they do run the game in real time.
Yeah.
It's not, you know, that each day is a day as such, and all that sort of thing. That obviously further adds to that issue. Now, a lot of people are saying about you know, in your chat in particular, a lot of people are saying about.
You read that? I don't even have time to read all that. They're just talking and so on. Anyways, go.
I'm reading 2 chats at once. But yeah, no, a lot of people are saying about how they'd like to see, I've seen several times throughout the course of this, people saying about they'd like to see player-owned bases and things like that.
That's a stupid idea. No, well, no, I'm against it.
Whether that happens or not, and obviously we're getting the squadron ships, which is the start of something along those lines. I don't think that is so much to do with story, although it does enhance.
It's mostly people wanting to have their name on something, essentially, just basically calling something their own that other people can, I guess, interact with. And I can completely understand it, but the problem is, I'm currently thinking as a game developer, how much freedom or how much impact do you allow an average player to have on the game world? And let's be honest, most players, or rather as a game designer should be thinking, players are dicks. So how do you prevent dicks from ruining your story, your game? And that's why I'm against player-owned stuff mostly. There can be a couple of things, sure, fine, you can own it and you can call it yourself, but yeah, it's just one of those things that players shouldn't own quite exactly, bases or whole fucking factions and control them at will. Otherwise, they'll just one day decide, well, fuck it, devs are not doing what I like them to do. Fuck it, I'm just gonna screw up their game. No, that's a really bad idea, so there's my explanation. But anyways, that's a different thing, I guess, so moving on.
And Barefoot, to quickly answer, you've just said with travel, and again, this is where... And I do feel for Frontier, because it is almost like, with the Elite Galaxy, they almost need to deliver a history lesson for players. And how you make that... I know how hard that is to make interesting, because my lore streams are built around it. You said that the bubble should be far vaster, given the scale, the speed of travel. That's because the FSDs that we use are now... coming up to being 7 years old. They're very, very new technology. So they're not something that's...
In-game history time, it's been 7 years since FSDs were a thing.
Yep.
I don't... I think this is a bit... No, this doesn't quite make sense. Okay.
Why they were?
No. It's
because
just
they were so
the
much safer. It was
expansion rate of
legally
human race. You know,
Yeah.
the whole bubble. That
There's
doesn't
roughly
make
14
sense.
trillion people. There's
That
roughly
doesn't make
14
sense.
trillion people spread across the bubble.
It literally just don't make sense because
what doesn't make sense?
The newest colonists are basically just children, and basically in that case
What do you mean are basically children? What? Sorry, you've lost me. Go back.
Right,
back a step. Sorry, dude.
Yeah. Okay. So before FSDs, how much did human race populate? How many star systems?
The bubble has grown by maybe 50 light years in any direction.
Oh, okay.
Since
So,
the FSD,
okay, then I'm wrong. Okay, yeah, that's just my ignorance of the story. Okay, never mind. Moving on.
Yeah. No, most of human space was already populated.
Okay.
What we're in at the moment is a golden age of exploration. That's what's happening at the moment. Humanity, for the first time, is truly able to explore the Milky Way, and is doing so.
Okay. All right.
So yeah, that kind of explains that part of things.
Right. Let's see. Well, returning to the same old question, is there anything else that you want to call me out on as being completely wrong? Feel free to skim through the video once more.
Meta Drive research and bought out by Serious Court. Meta Drives weren't a thing before FSDs. Other way around. Although the FSD is almost certainly reverse engineered Thargoid technology.
Whee! Let's see.
But yeah.
Oh right. Okay.
Where have
so
you got
what?
discordance? Where have you got 3290 from? Whenever I've literally, and I've got this question asked to Michael Brooks in an interview on my channel. He said at the time it was 5 years, which was roughly 2 years ago, which is where I'm getting 7 years from. If that's written somewhere, though, that means that may have changed. They do that. So, please show me where it's written. In the wiki. Wikis are awkward.
Oh right. Okay. So while you're kind of waiting for that, I guess I will
I'm just
jump into one of my main sort of points I kind of can formulate right now about my video was basically right now as the game goes. Essentially, the story is evolving and so on and so forth. That's typical. Of course, the reason why I called Elite Dangerous's storytelling as a lazy thing really was because if you think of Elite Dangerous as basically history as a book, again, that's a great example as to visualize it. You have a little bit of starting history. A couple of pages from the start is missing because there's no, explanation as to what is the universe or what else, but whatever. Then there are a couple of pages as to history, what happened up until a certain year or something like that. And then there's basically so many half bruised and half torn pages that somebody has written in the wiki about what happened in the last couple of years when the universe kept on progressing. And through that, do you think that basically reading through the history of what happened in the game in the last couple of years in the lore wise is a great way to tell a story to someone that basically just came in?
No. Absolutely not. Which is, no.
So there you go. That's basically my point already.
That the only history record is Galnet?
Well, yeah, exactly. And do you think that Galnet is really good for history or storytelling or lore telling?
But it isn't. And here, this is where something that you say is both right and wrong. So
elaborate, please, then.
Okay, so you want to know about what's gone on in the last couple of years of Elite Dangerous?
Yeah, let's say I'm an average
go on
player.
YouTube.
I just
Go on YouTube.
Okay, so
Yeah,
again,
and here is where you're right.
Do you think
Frontier
that other
do-
people
no,
should
wait,
be
wait,
telling the player? Yeah.
Well, no, right. Frontier do rely on third-party tools, yeah, and in this
that's
case,
the disgusting
this is a
part.
perfect. Well, no. This is a perfect example of it. But and here is some cold hard truth, right? If money was no object, yeah, and Frontier could have unlimited development funds and all that bollocks, right? Yes, damn straight. They produce an ongoing fucking essentially documentary that serializes what's going on in the Elite Galaxy, yeah? And it'd be amazing. Let's be honest. It'd be great, right?
That's
In reality,
I highly doubt it. But okay.
No, in reality, do I want them to spend the money on that with the resources they have, or do I want them to spend it on doing something like, I don't know, trying to actually fix multi-crew?
Yeah, that I personally would prefer that myself as well. Yes, but calling it a good storytelling or lore, story is what is happening now. Lore is what happened, some time ago. So there's that division. So lore telling is pretty bad for this game, hands down. Storytelling, well, there's one more point that I'll ask you a little bit later, but yeah.
Yeah.
Storytelling is moderately interesting if you know what happened, but to know what happened, you must know the lore, and to know the lore,
now that I will agree with. Yes.
Yeah. It's horrible.
Once you know the lore and you know what you're looking for, it's fascinating. If you don't know the lore...
It's relative. That's the thing, because most little things, even, something new happens in the universe or something, blah, 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 you have to constantly check these things. Okay, fine. For conspiracy, that's nice, but for ongoing, typical person's perspective, what's happening, Galnet is pretty shitty at telling a story. And there's no other way, really, to learn about this story, ongoing, surface-level story. And that's also shit. So that's my perspective there as well.
Oh, 1 second.
Yes. Don't die on me.
I've just taken a sip of coffee and it's gone down the wrong hole.
I actually finished my coffee just a couple of minutes ago, so...
I'm really sorry.
Don't die on me! I just need to prove that you're wrong even more than you want to prove me wrong.
Well, no, one thing I will agree with you utterly. Yeah, the problem isn't the storytelling, it's introducing the backstory and the setting. And I have to admit, I hadn't considered that before. But no, you are right. Yeah, from that perspective, the storytelling, I will forever maintain, is actually really interesting. A good example
now
of
that
this,
I think
a good example of this quickly, of an in-game thing, an in-game thing that happened that was using mechanics to tell a story. Back when the Unknown Probe first appeared, we found that, there's the Alliance bases in the California Nebula. Yeah?
I probably wasn't nearby, but
okay,
I heard
there are Alliance
I heard
bases out in
there
are Alliance bases out in the California Nebula. Well, we discovered, really, really interestingly, that one of them, the base named after it was Mick Turner, the base Mick Turner base out in the California Nebula, had a demand, and it was the only station we'd ever seen with it, an actual demand for unknown artifacts and unknown probes.
Oh yeah, right. I remember hearing about that some time ago.
And so we started delivering unknown artifacts and unknown probes to that station.
Okay.
And it's never shut. Like, we were for a while tallying it and everything. We delivered thousands of unknown artifacts and probes to that station.
Okay.
And
it never shut down.
Never shut down. Never started suffering from any kind of damage or any kind of interference. And shortly afterwards, you got the pumpkins growing in that region. You know, the giant space pumpkin
that
things.
thing. Okay.
Yeah. Now, are those two facts related? Not a clue.
Who the
All
fuck
we know
knows?
is that for an awful long time, we were pumping that station full of UAs and UPs, and it never took any damage. And it, as said, it had a demand for it. Now, with this one, that may have been a bug. Like, let's be honest, that may have just been a bug. It might not have been, though. We do not know.
Did you ask devs about this thing?
Of course I did. And I suspect it is not a bug, because...
And they did answer how?
They... Vaguely. I tend to get very direct answers when I take bugs to them, and quite vague ones when it's not a bug.
Okay.
As an example, passenger missions with the rate they were paying. Wasn't a bug, I would argue. But I think they do this a lot.
Okay.
Well, no, if you look at it, there's always one thing that pays too much, yeah?
Okay.
There's always one way of making too much money in Elite Dangerous, right? And
that's just most of the time it's just simply incompetence.
I'm pretty convinced it's just because they want us to specifically test a certain mechanic to death.
That would be
that's
back in
guess.
the day, but right now that's the thing. The way they nerfed it, if they nerfing would hit the nail in the head just with one shot, it would work. But they didn't. They nerfed it to hell, and then buffed it up to proper levels.
It. Yeah.
So that's incompetence.
This one, the long distance, the previous passenger mission thing, that was fine. This one might actually be a bug, yeah?
This was basically... But yeah, I also consider something like that.
Into Robigo. Long-range smuggling into Robigo when that first dropped, yeah?
Oh, probably wasn't playing
sort
back
of stuff.
So, yeah.
But no, all of that sort of stuff, they have done that for a long while. Again, built into the story.
That's a good way to sort of... put in some sort of story, or rather conspiracy side of it, but
yes,
here's the thing. When it comes down to conspiracy side, you know, you have to have at least some sort of surface level main story to have that conspiracy actually work. Otherwise, it's just another story.
Which is what Galnet attempts to present. Yeah,
and
that's what Galnet
that
is
surface
supposed
story
to
is
be.
shit, or at least the way it's delivered, it's shit, and therefore lazy. There you go.
How would you improve upon it?
Oh boy. Again, story missions, essentially. Because story missions would be basically
hang on, so what? Would you literally have players going and getting missions from Denton Patrius and Ashley Duval?
So, well, let's say there's a dev, made mission or something like that, let's say in Chipiapus, where I currently am, right? Chipiapus suddenly brings out a chain mission that also offers a little bit of, the beacon scanning, where you get an audio log or something like that, and then you learn a little bit here and there, and, you could actually code in some sort of background message in that message as well, or, I don't know, floating around there would be some sort of other beacon or whatnot else. Anyways, the point is, you basically give this surface level little story, crafted mission, not RNG's delivered fucking slop of shit. Basically, you have the actually sculpted mission, and mostly what that mission does is just give a little bit more information here and there about perhaps universe, or maybe about that one system or something like that. Some not very meaningful, but still somewhat meaningful information about, I don't know, something. And in the background of it, you give a little bit of conspiracy. Boom, there you go. That's a crafted mission that everyone can complete, because, well, I don't know, that faction that gives that mission out, needs something, instead of putting out community goal. And there's my another point. DJ.
See, community goals, I would say, are a different problem.
Do you think community goals are a good way to deliver at least the surface level story?
I love the background stuff, the conspiracy stuff with community goals. Everything else about them's terrible.
Okay, that conversation
idea,
was
but
quick.
It's really badly executed. Like, don't get me wrong, the idea of community goals.
I love
wonderful,
it. But as I've said in my streams multiple times, when you take a good thing and make it mundane, it's the worst thing you can do to any good
and that's the problem.
thing.
It's been the same few things over and over and over and over and over. Right. I would love to see them develop what is possible with community goals. I'm gonna be honest, and I have been pushing for this for quite a while. One day I might get my wish. I wish that they would do things like, right, why not actually make the community goals really, really, really fun? Why not?
They are really fun if they are...
No.
But okay.
Really fun by doing things like, as an example, why not have a trade CG, a piracy CG, and a bounty hunting CG all in one system?
Solo mode all over the place.
Well, yeah, that'll happen, but alongside that, the content that would be generated in open would actually attract people to open. Look at the Battle of Loo if you don't believe me. Yeah, this has happened before.
Maybe not.
No, there's precedent. It's happened.
Yeah, fair enough.
There is actual precedent for this. This has happened in the past. And if you use the CGs a bit more like that, where you start competing like that, and start using them not necessarily as individual things, but as things to use as a group, that's great fun. And it can be a huge amount of fun. And again, with the new engineering changes that are being brought in, maybe bringing more of a level playing field to open, because let's be honest, well, no, it does. I'm sorry, the new engineering changes bring a new level playing field to open because anyone can get a grade 5 ship.
So
anyone can get a god roll now. It's within
anyone can get god roll in the old system as well. All the difference is that RNGs needs to be sucked off too much time.
I disagree. Not anyone can get a god roll in the current system, because in the current system, the amount of time realistically required to god roll a ship, not an individual, RNGs might be in your favor on one thing, but the time to god roll an entire ship, Jesus, we interviewed someone the other day who's done 5,000 rolls on their DD5s.
Yeah, it's disgusting system. It's so
Whereas under the new
that's
system,
another topic. That's basically a gameplay
maximum,
topic.
I think we worked it out. Under the new system, you'd have to do 25 rolls. Yeah, that's a massive difference, and it means that the time constraints needed to do a god roll chip mean that does bring a much more level playing field.
Yep.
Yeah.
Oh, and
so yes, I would argue that, and I would also argue that creating content like that creates story naturally. Yeah. What factions
not
are
often
siding
it's
with who.
the greatest story, but it generates a story, a kind of a story.
Well, no, you get what factions are siding with who. And is it an internal Imperial squabble, or is it a Federation Imperial thing? Are one of the superpowers supporting openly, or is it all underhand shenanigans and all of that sort of thing? It's the
brain
sorry,
fart?
I've lost my complete
okay,
brain
in
fart.
that case,
do apologize.
we move on, or
go.
okay, moving. Okay, so Turgeon already in the chat is wonderfully talking about the community goals being used as the main storytelling tool, and this is a topic that I also touched on my CGs are overused video thingamajig a while back. I do mention that basically every time Frontier needs to, push forward some sort of change in the game world, they just lazily push out another community goal. And once the community goal is semi-completed, whatnot else, the next leg of the story, the new thing happens. Case in point, Aegis new weapons, stations, or something like that. And To be honest, again, it goes back basically that the lazy storytelling is there. Basically, they are using CGs and almost nothing else to move forward the surface level story, and that's disgusting. Say what you will, but they are just overusing the fucking CGs just because they apparently don't know any other better way.
I would say you were correct. I'm starting to suspect they've learnt their lesson.
Yeah, isn't that just... Funny thing is, everyone
would
noticed...
say you were correct, but I think they're learning... You look at
they learned
the
it very well.
Look at the stations that are damaged.
Oh god, don't even mention.
In the old days, tell me that would not be a CG.
That would have been immediately a CG anyways.
Yeah, right, but they're not.
I think they learned their lesson after realizing that after 4th Aegis initiative, no one really just went for it, and that was... I don't really get it, why did they make 4 of them, but I guess, well, fuck it! They're just making it.
Again, part of that was the story they were actually telling, which was
it's lazy.
Giant... Well, no, the story they were actually telling.
We have CG, fuck it, pop it. That's it.
Well,
we don't have to think about how to make story properly work. We're just
that wasn't the story they were telling there. I would argue. The story they were telling there, right? The story they were telling there, if you looked at the materials they were asking for, they weren't asking for materials for what they were claiming they were using.
It's part of the story, nonetheless.
Yeah, no, and B, if you look at the speed they developed those weapons at, it was a clear, this is bullshit.
Yes,
yeah?
But taking away from the story, taking from you know, when you look
from
at
just
the
a gameplay point of view,
not a gameplay. No. When you're looking from a writer's perspective, you're basically using the same sort of way you introduce the character to introduce every other character next time, and well, substitute character for a weapon. You know how to introduce a new thing into game world. Instead of actually just having it pop in out of nowhere for, you know, all the systems or things for everyone to buy, we're just gonna organize a CG. Okay, that's first time. All right, fine. That worked. Now the second time, how do we put in this next new thing in the game? Another CG. How do we introduce another thing in the game? Another CG. Another CG.
Yep.
Another CG. Another CG. Fuck this game.
Yeah, which is why you're starting to see them introduce things without CGs now. Yeah.
I wonder why.
Right.
Me.
But that's good. Yeah, the fact that they're stopping.
If they are thinking about, you know, the new ways to put in things or move the general main surface level story forward without, you know, relying on CGs to do all the heavy lifting for them, that's good. But thus far, I haven't really seen anything happen.
CGs still can be great.
That's the thing. They can be great.
I would argue
they
that
should be
CGs
rare. They should be rare.
Well, even if they're not rare, I would be happy for a CG every week. Yeah? But make it that it's a player group. No, make it that it's a player group CG. Yeah?
See, okay, fine. If you want to go the middle of the road, this is sort of partly talking about the game design or philosophies in it, but nonetheless, CGs, okay, the basic weekly CG, okay, you put in one CG that is, well, it looks a bit different from the special CG, you know, somehow just differentiate so players themselves can tell, oh, this is important. Because otherwise, you know, when it comes down to Aegis, for example, of course, we knew that Aegis was, oh, this is something new, you know, the new weapons are being developed and so on and so forth. Everyone was talking about it. Okay, but from, you know, the visual standpoint, you don't really know or you can't tell that it's a special thing. It's just yet another thing. And once you've seen plenty of these things, you know, you get jaded and you don't care. And there you go. Alternative, as I said, you know, just introduce the normal CG and then differently colored special CG or something like that to let players know, or, you know, people know that it's something different, it's more important or something like it. But again, that's just an idea there, and personally I'd like to see less CGs and more story, you know, quests or something like that. Maybe not a story quest, even just a chain mission that you know, is crafted, not relied upon on RNG's old fucking spunk I don't know, rags or something to deliver.
So
the
here's a
glory or
question
something.
for you.
Yeah, go.
How would you feel if CGs were dialed way back, but when with the release of Squadrons, this would be if CGs were dialed back, but player groups were essentially able to create internal CGs for within the squadron.
I mean,
So that
basically
you
that's
could
setting a
basically
goal for
assign-
your outfit or your guild or whatever. Yeah,
using
that's...
the same tools. Let's be
Yes,
honest.
yes. This idea personally is a really fantastic one.
Isn't it strange how the same mechanics, when utilized slightly differently, are really awesome?
It can be interesting. Now, of course, just like with any other CG, of course, outfits or guilds, or in this case squadrons, presumably that they will be like guilds and other games and whatnot else, will be using these CGs. Eventually, even those will get stale and boring and monotone. Everything does. Over time, everything does. But as a tool for, organizing people, yes, it would be wonderful. Though... the question how much that would influence the in-game stuff and so on and so forth. Again, I don't want these CGs, squadron CGs. Let's just call them that. And those shouldn't, inflict any sort of change into game world unless the totally collected work or whatever the players are asked to do from the squadron. Inflict any sort of change in the game world without that. For me, this squadron CG ought to be just a simple target marker for players to just pick up without talking with anyone and just knowing, oh, okay, my squadron needs this thing done. Okay, fine, I'll go into it, and that's it. Yeah, if you can make it interesting looking, it doesn't even need to be, a CG. It can just simply be a marker or random goal set, and there you go. Off you go. Enjoying
also,
it, I guess.
I just want to jump in and ask a question to your chat quickly, because people are saying about persistent NPCs. Now, I may be completely misunderstanding you guys, and forgive me please if I am, but persistent NPCs do exist.
Do they?
As an example, the mission giver when you're allied with the Imperial Inquisition, which is the Sovereignty's bubble faction, is General Lucille Bridges. We've written an entire backstory about her and stuff.
Christ.
Like seriously, she has her own backstory where she's like the nanny of our leader, like from when she was a kid, and now she's our general and has no idea what she's doing.
Oh right, yeah.
Is that what they have? No depth, no character, no personality. Agreed. We've had to give all of that to Lucille. Agreed with that. They're a portrait and a name, basically, aren't they? So I see what you mean by that. Right. It's just when you were saying persistent, I was like, but I'm sure, and I was going back through my head and I was like, no, it is Lucille. It always has been Lucille. But yeah, I now do understand. No, I do understand what you mean entirely. They don't have backstory or personality. At least the NPCs get that. The ones that you hire get that little bit of flavor text.
That's randomly generated. Yet another randomly generated.
At least it's something. Yeah. At least it's something.
To me, it's basically yet another compilation of ones and zeros rather than thing. But then again, you lose those, crew pilots immediately upon death, which. Again, doesn't particularly make sense since you don't die as a whatever. At this point, this is the state where I'm asking the game, how is my crew member dying while I'm not? I can return to the game. Am I a fucking hologram or something?
No. The answer to that's really simple. Yeah.
Space magic, lazy writing, bullshit writing, or just incompetence.
You got it right the first time. Space magic, it's a computer game, it's for balancing issues. Same reason as the FSD. Yeah? Same as the FSD. Right? The FSD, and again, like, I literally have an interview where we asked them this. The FSD is pure space magic. There is no science behind it whatsoever.
And I have absolutely no issue with that. The same thing goes with the flight model. Just because, you know, I lose the speed when I go flight assist off after boosting, honestly, as long as controls are good, as long as, you know, the things are working
as it's
properly,
enjoyable.
Yeah, as long as it's enjoyable, I'm not gonna ask too many questions, you know, it's just a nitpicky detail. That's the thing, if I can enjoy things, okay, fine, I'll overlook couple of things, but when we're, you know, directly talking about, story, it's, yeah, well, we already talked about this for an hour and a half already, so...
And Deranged Monk, that would be awesome. Speeches from power play factions, so when you jump into their territory, you like got a message that gave you an idea of who they were, you know?
If you
that
jump in there the first time, I guess it would be interesting, but... well, let's say you are just passing through the bubble, and, well, because of that, you basically jump to every stage, or rather, multiple systems where you basically have the power play and whatnot else being going on. Having that constantly played, not a great idea. I would personally like to see, if you're implementing, you know, some sort of description for a power play piece or faction piece or whatnot else in the system, make it optional playable thing rather than a mandatory auto play, because I can already see it gets really annoying, even if it's just a one-time deal.
First of all, we should really get Turgeon in with us for one of these one time, because he's making a hideous amount of really, really, really good points. I'd love to get him in for one of these. I'd love to get him in for one of these. That'd be wonderful. Also, one of the things I would really like to see, in Elite Dangerous is, I get why they're not doing Galnet the way they used to anymore.
What did they used to do with Galnet, actually?
They used to allow us to submit things, stories for Galnet.
Yeah, you talked about it.
And they've had to stop because it was too much work. Yeah, well, it was a 9 to 5. It was a 9 to 5 for somebody, and that's a lot of money to spend on that. Bluntly put.
To just read bad fan fiction, and that's a job I would not take. That's a horrible job. Guys, have you? That's the thing. If you want to see how bad fan fiction can be, go and read some of the Harry Potter fan fiction. You're just gonna go fucking insane, or some other. You know, I don't know, media sort of fanfiction universe or whatever. Moving on.
I am, however, really hoping that they seize the opportunity that HCS have given them with the new text-to-speech voice, and that Galnet is improved on. Because it is a good text-to-speech voice. It's not an annoying one, you know?
Yeah, it's definitely... I'm surprised how well it... Well, maybe it's not pushing through the intonation, but it feels like it does push through intonation as well. So, yeah. Wait.
All I can say is HCS have spent a very long time working on it.
So that's basically HCS's work, yeah?
Uh-huh.
Okay, so yeah, I was just listening to devs talk about the Galnet and whatnot else. I was thinking, why did they mention HCS and so on and so forth? And I misheard it. Okay, good to know. Okay, now I learned.
Victor. Yeah.
Good. Okay. Bad fanfiction, 50 Shades.
Also, the other thing, a few people were saying about how all of the engineers are the same, and I find that very interesting because to me, several of them have very large personalities. And I was like,
is that personality in-game readable?
No, right? No, I was literally reading that and going, well, why have I got such a... Because you read... And it is. I have read Premonition. Some of the engineers are quite major characters in Premonition. Therefore, I do have more depth about them. And I will say that I think Frontier are going to be doing a lot more with voice acting.
Yeah, there's that little point I made in the video. It's a fucking shame that you know, things like Indra bases and other places basically being hidden away for just a random schmuck to find, having so much work put in them. And yet, you know, no one's really gonna go and visit them. And you talked about this thing, you know, what a waste of time. And Indra bases, voice acting for them is actually a waste of time at this point. Well, it is, yeah, it gives you that story part, and I love it myself. Considering that no one really goes and listens to them.
You think it's a waste of money?
Unfortunately, it is. They are putting a lot of effort.
I think it's one of the best adverts for the game they've ever done.
Yeah, that's the thing. They are putting
the
in
YouTube
a lot...
views on the videos when the voice acting first got introduced, and every time a new piece of voice acting is found, are massive spikes.
Fair
and
enough.
that's worth it in and of itself.
But even so, why should... That's my point.
Because
this
we don't have...
This is bad storytelling again.
No, okay, hang on though, right?
Yeah.
If we want to go pure in-game, right, and be realistic about this, if Elite were real, right, Galnet would be a bit more than a text update,
Of course it would be. Of course it would be.
Yeah, and so, as an example, those Indra bases, when they're found, how many of us are, like, some people would go there, yes? Yeah?
Of course.
But how many of us would just flick up YouTube and have a look on YouTube?
Well, that's
put the news
yeah,
on
that's the
and
same
watch it
thing.
on
Of
the
course,
news.
yeah. You're not gonna go to the capital city to see a fucking crashed, burned, I don't know, unique truck or something like that. Of course, you're not gonna go and do that.
Right.
But, on the other hand,
so this is where things like YouTube, like live streams, like this one that we're doing at the minute, yeah, like the books. I personally, and again, this is how I look at it, yeah? I personally look at it as they are in-universe resources, yeah? That's literally how I look at it, to the point that for my commander, Yamiks and Obsidian Ant are celebrities. Yeah? If you get my... If you... Like, don't get me wrong, I'm not saying that I can't separate them or any nonsense like that. I know that, you know, the real world YouTube's not in Elite. Yeah, but...
Fine, yeah, okay.
Yeah, you get my point. For me, that's kind of how... Because I do accept that Elite is not just a game. It is a multimedia project. There is more to it than just the base game. Also, I just had the trolliest raid of all time.
Yeah, good job. That's not about today now, is it?
No, I just want to... Hey, Malik, thank you for the raid. Hello, everybody. We're arguing with DJTruthsayer. Sorry, several hundred new people just turned up. Hi, everyone. We're arguing with DJTruthsayer about story. Right, carry on.
Right. Well, there we go. I brain fart yet again. Hey,
you've got the brain fart moment now.
Right, so
right, it's passing.
let's see. Okay, yeah. So about the Indra bases and the wasted effort, or rather, a lot of effort is spent into creating these things that could perhaps be used to first flesh out something a bit more, well, more used, or so on and so forth. Well, yeah, basically something that is used a lot more often. Again, great example, as I said before, is chain missions and beacons and the like. You know, you're tasked to just, even, for example, yeah, great example would be passenger mission beacons, tourist beacons. Why not voice act them first, before, you know, the Indra bases and so on and so forth? Because a lot more people will go to these tourist beacons, and that's a little bit more smarter spent time in it. But on the other hand, yeah, I still appreciate, I do still, you know, go to these Indra bases and listen, and I love it. And but again, just when you're talking about that sort of effort expenditure on different aspects of it, you can't but to think that spending on these Indra bases or these things that basically 10% or maybe even 5% of the community that care about this in the first place would go and look up. Rest will just go and watch videos. And would you really need to rely on the third party to deliver that story to everyone else? Would you really... is that a smart move? That's my question here.
Well, if your choice is between relying on a third party or spending huge amounts of resources that could probably be better expended elsewhere.
In the first place, okay, so inner bases, why are they voice acted in the first place? Because that's spent effort that could be, you know, for that voice actor perhaps spent
because it's
somewhere
an
else.
incredibly interesting and awesome story. And let's not mince words, thousands upon thousands of people have gone and visited those sites.
Well, but even still, it's a very small minority that has. It doesn't matter, you know, what it is.
Far more have seen them on YouTube, let's be
honest. 1 or 10,
yeah,
exactly. And yeah.
Yeah, far more have.
You start to
but
think
again,
about
we get into the...
yeah, it's basically creation.
You're not the hero. It is this big galaxy. You can go there if you want. Yeah, it's easy enough. And we can't ask the man at the pub, but we can go on the internet. Yeah, we can't watch the news in Elite Dangerous, but we can go on YouTube. And don't get me wrong, Galnet could be more, should be more. Yeah. But
not necessarily.
Oh, no,
I personally find the missions to be rather more important. For example, right now, when the 3.0 beta dropped, as I clicked the play on Galnet, you know, the person, or well, the voice reading out what happened, you know, like yesterday or whatnot else in some place, gave me that little insight into thing that perhaps I wouldn't really even, well, to this day I don't really care, but at the moment when it's read to you, it's a bit more immersive, or rather more interesting, because yeah, it's a good change in general. I personally love the Galnet audio, and nice work on that, yes, but that also sort of signifies that wasted effort in other places and whatnot else. Just, yeah. We need more sort of engaging content when it comes down to the main story in places that matter, aka in this case the biggest place would be missions for me. There are of course different ways you can create the story, and you know, the surface level thing, of course, if you want to go and well, technically inner bases and other places like you know, that shouldn't be mapped, of course, but well, yeah, at least lead players to some places, and yeah, I don't know, give them a chance to discover these things, if not, you know, directly by solving mysteries and whatnot else, but I don't know, giving hints during their own normal gameplay. That's basically what I'm kind of looking forward to, but yeah.
Yeah, I understand.
For example, the good example was Salome event, right? So Salome, you know, Salami died. Okay, fine, but you know, she left the whole, what is it, the beacons behind, and that's the thing. That's also well, it wasn't a sort of a chain mission or whatnot else, but it was still some sort of clue that was given, and you know. I don't know.
Yeah, and an awful lot of that puzzle relied on out-of-game ARG stuff as well.
Yeah, that
and that
Salome
was all
event was just a big
with a
shit
book.
fest.
But no, and that was all tied in with a book. Yeah. And you know, a lot of people disagreed earlier when I said about, you know, Elite is a multimedia project. It isn't just the game. And I said just a game, and I think people may have overreacted to that somewhat. I mean, it isn't the game in isolation.
Well, multimedia,
things like the books, things like, and you know, even down to things like the HCS voice packs. Yeah? These all add to the Elite Dangerous Galaxy.
But that's the thing. They are HCS voice packs, the little storyline that they are developing. I don't do Frontier consider that canon.
Absolutely not.
Then it's not part of it. There we go.
But no. Of course, like, no, it's not part of the main story or any nonsense like that. Yeah, but it is. like they are licensed by Frontier. So although they aren't canon, they are officially part of like the Elite Dangerous family of products, essentially. Yeah.
Yeah.
Because they are officially licensed by Frontier. Also, one thing I do want to say, if you're interested in learning more about lore, and this is not an advert, this is just a thing where I am telling you about a cool thing. There's a RPG called Elite Encounters, TheYamiks. There's a link in TeamSpeak, which you could pass over to your chat if you don't mind.
Kidoki.
There is an RPG called Elite Encounters. It's one of the 2 pen and paper RPGs to do with Elite Dangerous.
Are you shilling? No, not really.
We're not shilling. No, this isn't shilling at all. No. This is just talking about something that's really cool. If you want the best one-stop shop for lore, where it's just like where most of the stuff we're talking about is all covered in one place, the Elite Encounters is probably your best bet. The opening section of the book, is a huge section on the history, and then going into the different cultures that exist, and even down to things like fashion and things like that. Alongside that, it's a really good fun RPG. But seriously, well worth looking at if you want something to look into lore. Hashtag not an advert. That link's an arrow 404. What?
Oh, well, there you go. Too bad. That's
okay,
it.
hang on. No, hang on. For some reason,
anyways, those that are interested,
just copy that one instead. That's
Jesus.
where it's supposed to go.
People
I'm
can
sorry.
Google, right? People can Google.
Well, no, just copy and paste it.
Fine.
Be lazy.
Fine.
Takes you 30 seconds.
Fine. Wait, Elite Encounters were in the Frontier Explorer, or was it the other?
No,
one?
well, they were both there. Cellazum was there from Elite Encounters, and then the EDRPG had the table set up. Yeah. But
okay,
the main difference is that the EDRPG didn't have a lore license, whereas Elite Encounters did. So there's a lot more lore in the Elite Encounters one.
Okay. Well, there you go. Let's see. Totally not forced. Yes, of course, Paxo. Right. Well, no.
Totally forced.
In general, yeah, definitely. He pushed me, and what not else? I mean, anyway. Right. So let's see. Right. We talked about basically the starting of the video and what not else. We talked about the Guardian ruins. Oh, right, and yeah, the whole point that I made about, well, or rather I just mentioned that it's rather, well, ugly that the devs are relying so much on third-party tools. It's not only, of course, about the lore or story. It's also about the gameplay and other things. And of course, Elite is not unique in this thing, but for a game that tends to boast about their stories and things like that, when you actually start asking, okay, I'm dropped in game, where's the story? A lot of people often, after I release the video, there's plenty of people, even right now in the chats as well, saying, a story? There is story? Where is the story? I don't know where is the story. I don't even know what happened. That's already what we discussed in the beginning, and that's establishing the universe in the first place. That's basically non-existent. After that, what else did we talk about? I don't know. In any case, is there anything else you want to say that I'm wrong on? Because thus far, I think you just haven't really proved me wrong. Now, have you?
Well, I kind of have.
Okay.
And that's the storytelling is fine without all of the MMO nonsense that you want, which was my biggest issue.
It's disagreement in philosophy of, well, the story writing philosophy rather than just proving a wrong, person that is wrong factually or whatnot.
Yeah, well, yeah.
So
but
it's basically clash of opinions, and that's about it.
But they are telling a fully, what we like. My argument would be that we agree that the setting of the scene is pretty fucking terrible. The story.
If you actually go through the story as to what happens in the story, what characters are in the story, there might be some nuggets of gold, but to get to those nuggets of gold, as I said in the video itself, you have to dig through a lot of shit and go out of your way entirely to find even the surface level, not the conspiracy level story.
I don't think it's that difficult.
Okay, so fine. Well, it's not that difficult if you know how to use Google, sure. But no, when it comes to in-game stuff, you literally just have to know where to go to get that first thread for the story, at least in some a story of one particular thing. And then you have to find the beginning of another story start and so on. Otherwise, you know, you start with the middle of the page or middle of the book or something. That's mostly what I'm saying here.
I would say it's more like just being dropped into the modern world without being given any history lesson. That's kind of what it's like. Yeah.
That's what it is. And expecting, you know, story to be good because of that? No. You have to start your story, or, well, you have to tell the lore first for the person to understand what is the story or where it's going. So, yeah.
And also, something Maliks just pointed out, which I'd never considered. Elite has been a multimedia project from the get-go. The original Elite in 1984...
You know more than I do about that,
game. Yeah, the original Elite in 1984. A lot of people go on about the lore of that game. Do you know how much story there actually was in Elite itself? None. They had a book that was sold, was given away with the game. Yeah? And that's where all of the lore that people know about the original Elite is from.
Well, then again, you know, I think it's typical of that time, you know, not to really involve
it wasn't. It was the first game ever to be released with a book alongside it.
Was it now? Really?
Yeah. Yeah, it was.
Probably somebody in chat will say that, oh no, DJ is wrong, there was this very, you know, fucking bad game named The Asshole Rapist, what else, that came into, I don't know, 81 or something, that had a book, or aka pamphlet or something, I don't know, but, okay, well, since I can't really prove you wrong there, but, yeah, I guess I'll have to just go along.
We don't have those limitations anymore, no, but you still... releasing books alongside and set in a universe to further deepen the lore is still a method that is very difficult to replicate within game. Someone said Oblivion came with a book. Oblivion was released a long time after. Not Elite Dangerous, Anne. We're talking about the original Elite in 1984. No, and Tojan, you're quite right. It didn't really have much. It was just to set the scene. That was what it was. It was literally just to
establish universe. But basically, this game doesn't do.
There is stuff in the manual. I will point that out. We actually have a thing in my chat that points out that there is a manual for the game and that it's got story in it.
Wait, Elite Dangerous manual?
Yeah. Yeah, there is a manual for Elite Dangerous, and it's got an explanation of why you're starting with a free Sidewinder.
Oh god. Okay.
The fact that I have a timer in chat, that comes up with that periodically. So that people realise that, show how bad that is, that isn't trying to defend Frontier. That's not very... Like, you can get to it... you go past it every time you load Elite. It's in the launcher. If you look at your launcher, there is literally a button in the top right-hand corner that says manual.
Okay.
Yeah?
Okay, fine, whatever. Honestly. Oh, wait,
No,
yeah.
It's one of those things
yeah,
that's
yeah,
like, oh,
yeah.
okay.
My account,
no,
options,
that's...
support, forum, store, tutorials, manual. Yes, there is that button. I see it. And
Yep.
hold on,
and
let me just click that and put it on the screen. That'll be even fucking funnier then. Give me a sec. Let me just organize my fucking screens and other things. This is fucking stupid. But okay, fine. I guess we're back in okay, fine. As I've said personally many times before, this game has been developed in with a mindset of holy fuck, how long? At least 2000, something in the mindset of 2000. Well, games from year 2000, basically. So let me just find the screen there. Yep, there we go. That's the screen, and that's the manual. So, yeah. Product care. I don't care. Health warnings. Wait, what? There's a health warning.
You want to go to page.
Sit further from the screen. Okay.
Lol.
Use a smaller
27.
screen.
Oh no, page 28. Sorry,
oh,
you want to go to
28. Okay.
Sound muted. Sound resumed.
28. There we go. Right. Fuck me. There's actually such a thing as... Okay.
Yeah.
Alright. Fair enough. This wouldn't be the first time I encountered a goddamn manual, which is still loading. God damn it!
Have you opened it up in Edge?
No, it's in my Firefox.
Just use Chrome.
Chrome doesn't have bookmarks. Okay, give me a sec.
Yeah, but
Give me a
Chrome,
sec,
Chrome
I'll
loads PDFs really quickly.
Yeah. Fine. Give me a sec. Everything's gonna be fine. Just fine. Alright, there we go. Right, and the screen. There we go. Screen. Think it is?
Like, the manual is actually really good. Yeah, there's a lot of really useful information in there.
Alright, 26. Yeah, okay.
Yeah.
Oh, wait, that's the wrong... Oh, gods. They formatted this thing quite well, let's say. Okay, so
it is actually literally designed to be printed out and turned into a
Page
book.
26. I see galaxy map, system map. No, there's no information there, dude.
What, 26?
Yeah, 26. The literal page in, not the PDF page.
Yeah,
or
the literal page number in the bottom left-hand corner.
Yeah, 26, I see galaxy
map. Oh no,
map
28, sorry, 28, not 26.
Fuck! Come on, okay. Surface and authenticated, decrypted, blah 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 blah. Let's see, what else do we got? Primary transmission begins. Aha, there we go. To whom it may concern. Oh god, I need to enlarge this thing. Too large! Back, This is our solemn duty to deliver to you the package left with us from a benefactor who wishes to remain anonymous at this time. The package was placed in our care with instructions to deliver in the event, only in the event of our successful membership of the pilots. Okay. Okay, so tell me now, DJ, was this too fucking hard to actually put in
dude,
game?
The fact that it's hidden in the manual is ridiculous.
It's...
I'd been playing the game a year when I first found out about this.
Oh my god.
Yeah, like, and I own a physical copy of the game as well.
Fuck me.
Like, I have a physical copy of this manual, and it was still a year before I found out about it.
And do you know what I'm talking about right now, about lazy storytelling? Is this not lazy?
Well, no, there's nothing wrong with the execution of the storytelling. The placement of it is a bit questionable.
That's also part of execution, you fuck.
The politest way of putting it.
That's part of literal execution. Placement is part of
the placement is so bad, right? Like, the actual lore itself there, the little piece of text, yeah, it's really good, really interesting.
Yeah, that's the thing. It sparks at least. Oh, who is this benefactor? Can I, maybe find out about it? No, you can't because
and I think
fuck
the
you.
point of that is that's supposed to be the hook into the fact that things aren't really as they seem and all of that sort of shit. Yeah.
Yeah. Jesus.
And it's why like as you say, why isn't that like read out to you when you first load up, like when you start a new commander?
Oh, dude, you actually asked me to, you asked us to deliver questions.
Yeah.
Wink, wink. Wink, wink. This is a good question, don't you think?
Too late. Those questions have already been delivered.
Fuck. Ah, well, maybe someday, one day later, I guess. There we go.
Brian DeCamps, learning about Elite, is it hard?
It is immensely, because at this point, through playing my own speed and whatnot else, I still don't know almost anything about Empire, almost anything about Federation, except for the lore that I have given them myself in my own mind, and that's it.
Would you like a brief, like,
no,
sort of 2 minute no? I bet in 2 minutes, would you like to know where the Empire's from?
Yeah, go for it.
Let's
enlighten the
peoples
peoples of the internet. Let's enlighten them.
So the story of the Empire is that nearly 1,000 years ago, a democracy activist and socialite within the Federation called Marlin Duval decided that she was never going to change the minds of those within the Federation, and decided that she was going to bugger off and start her own society. So she went as far as she could go, and they went to Akinar. Shortly thereafter, her brother murdered her, and took over the very successful colony by that point, and converted them from democracy to basically believing that he was an empire. He was an emperor, and that sort of thing. That was when the whole thing where the position of emperor was passed from father to son started, because the chap Henson Duval claimed that there was something wrong with the Duval women at the genetic level. Basically, yeah, seriously.
Okay.
It isn't women in general, it is the Duval line of women, yeah? And literally to the point that recently within game, Hengist Duval, the previous emperor who died, actually had a test done to prove that it wasn't true. Now, Henson Duval basically then immediately set about almost certainly committing genocide upon a possibly sapient species that lived on Akinar. The Imperial historians insist that it was an accident, basically, and that they weren't sapient anyway. They were basically just space cows. And the Federation insists that it was an act of concerted genocide. No one knows. In all likelihood, the Empire wiped out a sapient species. They had a war with the Federation that lasted a little while, and then Sirius Corporation was formed, became incredibly powerful by selling guns to both sides, and then dealt with the peace deal. And then basically the Empire and Federation have existed in a Cold War for about 1,000 years, up until the start of the game.
Okie dokie. So there we go.
Yep.
Pretty much.
So there you go.
Yeah, well, why so serious, yes. I'm not serious, I'm Eridanius.
There is
that's a
more to
pun
it than
joke.
that, but that was, you know, very brief, very quick. That's where the Empire came from, and that's why it is as it is.
Okay, well, yeah, there we go.
Yeah.
Boy. Let's see. Any other topic we can just beat each other around or something?
I don't know. What do you think I'm wrong about?
Let's see.
I complain at you about being wrong about things.
Okay, you're wrong on the... well, not exactly wrong. Your perception that, you know, you have to actually, consider the game, or rather the story that it has, conspiracy and so on and so forth, it's all fine and dandy. But as I mentioned already, you don't have that setting to realize, or that reference point to realize what is and what is not supposed to be, you know, conspiracy. And yeah, you don't really know what the fuck is going on in the first place. So how can you call a conspiracy if, well, fuck, you just simply don't know if that's part of the real story or not. Are you supposed to take it as a real thing, or is it, you know, that distinction is kind of important if you really want to create something, you know, shady going on. Otherwise, it's just basically sloppy telling. Just oh, by the way, don't worry about that man behind the curtains. It's nothing shady. And then you open the curtains, and then there's nothing, and you start to think, what? Wait, was there supposed to be something, or what? You're confused. So yeah. But
summarize your point.
You're basically focusing on the fact that the game is supposed to be conspiracy, while disregarding the fact that conspiracy needs background or meaning put upon it, or there needs to be meaning put on.
I would argue
main
that
story.
I would argue that the game is mainly about being a dude flying a spaceship,
which you are.
Yeah, and if you choose to dig, there is definitely a layer of conspiracy, and that is the main tale that is being woven, because it does impact on everything. I think the surface level stuff's...
It's also buried just as deep, and that's the problem.
Well, no, it's not. Just look at what's, you know, just through Galnet, look at what has happened over the last, what,
okay,
year
that's
and a
the
half.
very surface synopsis of the story.
Yeah.
Literally,
well,
it is a synopsis.
That's most players' first interaction with the story, isn't it?
It shouldn't be. Though it shouldn't be. Because the first thing you must do is establish universe. And instead of jumping right into the events. So, yeah. Just saying. But, yeah, we already talked about this.
But again,
enough.
are you literally saying, like... Again, right, I would be happy for that bit that's in the manual to be, you know, like...
That,
you have
that
a nice
needs to be
bit.
part of basically a tutorial, or your first
right.
entry
or the end
into
of
the
the
game.
Tutorial, you know, you're handed the keys to your first ship.
Yeah, exactly. That's
Yeah.
how it should naturally go, and there you go.
Yeah. Agreed. So, actually, this leads me to a question, because someone's brought this up in my chat, and it's an interesting one. How many of these issues do you think will be solved by the codex?
Depends what they create with the codex and whatnot else. Again, if it's just I don't know, pan-flipped level sort of a thing, like in, you know, if it's basically, if it's a Galnet but even shorter, then do you think that's gonna bring a lot of information to a player, or it'll create a good narrative or jump off or reference point? No.
So, well, the first thing I want to say about this is that I find the fact that they're using the term codex very interesting. And for this, I'd just like to ask both chats, what do you first think of when you hear codex, please? In both chats. I don't want to lead you here, so just what do you think of first when you think of codex. Don't say anything because you're leading them. Wait, let chat delay happen. Let them put their bit in, and then we'll... Because I don't want to lead this, yeah?
Yeah, fair enough. Well, in the meantime, do you got a good dick joke? Okay, a good joke.
Good joke. Star Citizen.
I was expecting fucking Federation, but okay, let's go with that.
Yeah. Other applicable answers would have been the Federation.
Alliance.
Also, Latvia or the United Kingdom.
Yes. Or better yet,
Hang on,
type
I'm
10.
not claiming superiority here.
Then again, yeah, well, Netherlands, you know, you're living there, eh? So
Yeah.
you're kind
Well,
of
no,
having that superiority
I
now,
am an
isn't it?
immigrant here, yeah? I chose to live here. I can like this more, that's fair. But I'm not Dutch. Right, so, a lot of things in my chat, Mass Effect mentioned more than once, 40k mentioned, Da Vinci Code, Bioshock, Metal Gear Solid, Dictionary of Data, that sort of thing. In your side,
Not much different, to be honest. About the same thing.
40k mentioned. You've got Mass Effect being mentioned. Interesting one there, Inara. Like that. Somebody said it sounds like the Codex will just be an Elitepedia. Metal Gear. Somebody said again.
It might be just simply something, if those of you, probably quite a bit of you, are playing Subnautica, you know, that basically logs all being put in just a book or something like that, and you can open up with, basically, at least what I would imagine Codex being is just your collected, you know, mission, I don't know, logs or, you know, things that you pick up from beacons and things like that, logs essentially collected in one place. That would be my guess personally. Then again, being coder, I'm saying Codex is basically just something with code. Coding, yay!
So,
Codex,
the reason
database
I say
of info,
that,
basically. Yeah, there we go.
The reason I say,
okay. Damn it.
yeah, the reason I ask is because a lot of people have answered Mass Effect. And this isn't a...
Your personal narrative.
Lol. I do wonder if the word Codex has been chosen with a great deal of... I don't think they've accidentally chosen the term Codex. And I do wonder if they are trying to evoke Mass Effect when they say that. Because in gaming terms, it is probably the most famous, like, recent usage of the term. Yeah? Obviously, with the text-to-speech voice, there's no reason it can't be voiced. Yeah? And I do wonder if that's the sort of thing we're going to get. Where... And I, to be honest, as a lore nerd, that's what I would like. Yeah? I would like it that... Like
anything
maybe when
that is basically voiced and I don't have to read is all good in my book.
Well, right? How nice would it be if, when you, you know, extreme example, you're doing a hut and run, and you're like, do you know what? I want to learn a bit more about the history. And you flick into your codex and you go, tell me about the history of the Federation. And it you know, gives you 5 minutes of voiced info about the history and the background of the Federation sort of deal.
It would be a relatively non-organic telling of the lore, but at least it's something in comparison to nothing, so yeah. Personally, my personal
telling of the lore is gonna be difficult. Especially
by organic, I mean basically again mission story or alongside of mission, you just basically pick up a beacon and you know stories being given to you.
That's suggesting that you wouldn't unlock codex
you would
entries
have
by
to unlock
doing
it,
missions.
But that basically makes it organic because you know you're going one by one, and that's what I mean. But fuck it, you know, even if it's just a codex where you... Yeah, fuck it.
Double Smart said how much of the codex will be fake, though, right? And this is part of the issue. Like, how much are they just gonna blatantly lie to people? They do it all the time within the game already. And...
My asshole tips should be in the codex. Yes! Yes, let's tell everyone to do suicide winding. Hey! Fucking hell. But
yeah,
hey, I would love it.
I think that like from my perspective, I adore the story and the lore of Elite Dangerous, and again, Yamiks is quite right in separating lore and story. And
actually, that's the thing. I'm kind of taking that separation from one of the commenters that posted something like that when I did the video, and yeah, I was like, oh fuck, why didn't I think of it? Oh well, fuck it.
It's
I'm
a
just
really
gonna...
good point, isn't it?
It is a really good point. It's a really good point, yes.
And the truth is, there's an incredible depth of lore and an incredible depth of story.
Maybe not the
Again,
most incredible
the way
thing.
the story happens,
okay.
I'm fine with. Especially given the constraints of developing an online game. The way that the lore is presented, even with the lore beacons.
It's very lazy. That's what I call very lazy. Just basically plop a fucking beacon somewhere, you know, with lore on it, one and done. Basically, that's it. Another lore piece needs to...
the beacons. I like the beacons.
There needs to be different ways of telling a story rather than just pooping out the fucking text block somewhere after poking one little thing, you know. There are different ways to tell a story, and the problem with Elite Dangerous has always been the repetition of one good thing, or just a thing. The same goes with grind, the same goes with CGs. Just one thing is working, fuck it, we're just gonna repeat it until death. We're not gonna really take a look on different alternatives and, you know, sort of vary things up.
Although grinding is one we could argue about all day long.
You would lose.
Other than the engineers, I don't agree that Elite is a particularly grindy game.
Oh no, basically the game doesn't consist of plentiful, just a shit ton of small jobs with very little pay.
I think that an awful lot of people choose to play the game in a very grindy manner. Yes.
Question is,
I am not.
The game basically has a lot of small jobs without proper pay.
Please let me finish.
Yeah.
Just 1 second. I think that a lot of people do choose to play or fall into playing the game in a grindy manner. Yeah? I don't believe the game is inherently grindy. That isn't to say you cannot grind in Elite Dangerous, but then name me an MMO you can't. And name me an MMO without grind.
Alright, fuck it, you know what, I'm about to say one additional thing, and then that would be basically a rant in its own, and what to tell. Fuck it. Back to the storytelling and other things, the lore about, because today's about that, after all.
Yeah, that's true.
I'm stopping myself at this point.
You're gonna stop yourself and not get into that argument.
You're always wrong, DJ, on the grind, that's it. That's all I'm gonna say.
This is an area, in case you haven't gathered, Yamiks and I have discussed this before, and we disagree about this.
Yeah.
But no, I think that I always do try and, you know, share what I know of the lore and the story, and we as a player group, speaking from our perspective, try and create our own story an awful lot. And I'm not going to lie, I and a lot of people that I know are the kind to consume every shred we can get. So, you know, a book comes out, we've read it. If somebody's producing a new YouTube series, someone's watching it. Whatever goes on, we try to keep tabs on it. And I think that there is a vast amount that a lot of us miss. Even me. Like, as an honest question, how many people in chat ever look at the local news? And also to you, Yamiks. How often do you look at local news in the
Never,
station?
because it's always... because you can always expect that it's randomly generated, and, you know, comparing to local news being important, when has that ever been important? Never. Local news are not important ever. Nobody looks at it. Only those that really randomly either take a look at it or something like it, because there's nothing interesting in it. Thus far, maybe... Has there ever been something interesting, you know, a clue or something like that been given to a puzzle that...
Yep, they have quite often.
Okie dokie. In that case, those that really care about these puzzles, I guess, will hunt for them. But that's, again, there are more stations than I think players playing. So checking every station every day.
Oh god, no. Yeah.
That's a stupid thing, and that's why, again, basically no one checks them at all.
Yeah. And again, this is where they've used the randomly generated stuff to give to try and present an illusion of you know, a day-to-day life. Yeah. And so the interesting stuff gets buried in that. And don't get me wrong, I don't check it. Yeah? I'm as guilty as anyone. I'm not going to claim that I do. Yeah? But it is sort of... I guess some of it is the difficulty of trying to present anything believable. You know, even Galnet is completely unbelievable when you look at it, isn't it, Yamiks? The amount of news that... Think about the amount of news that comes out of your local news station, and then compare it to the amount that comes out on Galnet.
Well, yeah, it's less here. But then again, you know, for a game and storytelling, yeah, you would kind of think that compromising would be a good idea, but...
you know, from what they've said, they're working on a new system to get player stories into Galnet again.
Okay. Sure.
And yeah, it's... I don't know. We'll see what happens then. I do want to see more from it, but again, it's a lot of this. I guess I part of why I'm more forgiving is because I do view Elite as this and you know, it's something that I've done. It was Drew that first sort of Drew Wagar, when we had him on for one of his first interviews he did with us, that started talking about it in those terms as this multimedia project. And the more that I thought about it, the more I agreed with him. There is more to Elite Dangerous than simply the game.
But is it actually? But is that something more really presented in a enjoyable manner? Is it really done in a well, good way? That's subjective, but I say not really.
What, the multimedia aspect?
Rather the new aspects of well, not the news, but rather the puzzles and things like that. You know, these little things that what do they present in them, really? Those stories, well, I don't know.
It's for me, Elite is wonderful because it's different.
Well, okay, I like my brick wall because it's built of different bricks.
Yeah, no.
Really?
I think it's wonderful. No. I think it's wonderful because it's different, and because, let's be honest, you know, your complaint, have they never played an MMO? I don't think it's that they've never played an MMO. I think it's just that they think
chose a really shitty way of presenting the story without, you know, thinking, oh, would this make much sense or would this be interesting? That's
I think this goes beyond story, doesn't it? This goes to the whole game.
There are other things in this game that are done, or well, things that are done in other games a lot better than it is here. So yes, this is not the only instance where I have an issue.
Yeah, don't get me wrong. Elite Dangerous. I mean, anyone that tries to tell you that Elite Dangerous is perfect in any way is not right. And Turgeon, and absolutely not. There is no protagonist in Elite. I agree with that entirely. I think that's kind of the point, isn't it? You're a dude with a space truck, essentially, or space tank, whatever you want to call it. You know.
Wank tank. Oh.
And you get to do what you want. And you saw. I think even at its surface level, I wouldn't go as far as a game with no story, even if you ignored everything else. Just the very surface level, I wouldn't call it a game with no story, but definitely a game with incredibly limited story if you only look at the surface level. Yes, that I'll agree with. And I do agree that not everyone is a role player. I don't think everyone should be.
Authorization to be inside the docking bay?
And you know, people should be free to play the game as they want. But I don't know. Absolutely not, Turgeon. That's not true. That's true of Reclamation, not Premonition. Reclamation was bought as a Kickstarter reward tier, just like the initial Elite novels. However, Premonition most certainly wasn't part of that. They approached Drew directly, hired him directly, and published it in-house. It's an official Elite Dangerous product. It's not...
Why is it not on the store?
What, Premonition?
Elite's own store, yes. Or rather,
Is Premonition not on the store? I thought it was.
I think so. At least
I'm pretty certain Premonition is on their store, dude. I will check just to make sure.
Yep.
I
may be just
look really stupid
blind.
if it is. Yeah, if it isn't, I'm gonna look really stupid. And yeah, but I'm. So going to books.
Please don't be there. Please don't be
Second one, literally go on to books. Elite Dangerous Legacy. Elite Legacy is the first one. Second one, Elite Dangerous Premonition. Yeah, and that is the only one that was published by Frontier themselves. That is the only one of those. That's not like the others. The rest of them, you're absolutely right. That's how the rest of the licenses were handed out. But with Premonition, no, that's different. He was approached by FDev directly and asked to write that.
Right. Yeah. Dramatic pauses like William Shatner. Ladies and gentlemen, that was DJ. Oh boy, right, well, it's been 2 hours and 2.5 hours, goddamn, usually I don't stream too longer than that, so, I don't know, is there anything else, perhaps, that you would like to, call me out on, as to say I'm wrong on? Because thus far I haven't really seen you prove me wrong anywhere.
No, as I said, my main issue has always been that you believe that Elite needs those MMORPG, proper terminology, type quests to tell a story. And I disagree with that, and that there isn't a story, and that the storytelling in Elite is lazy. I disagree. I do agree wholeheartedly that starting off new players is terrible, and needs to be improved dramatically. But I don't agree about the story.
Story delivery, yeah, that's the thing. Narrative drive. Yeah, narrative drive when it comes down to Elite Dangerous is essentially just, oh, this week, this cycle, we decide to implement this new thing. Okay, how do we implement this thing? It used to be that it was through CG. Okay, CG away, CG away, CG away, and That was partly my sort of call out on the fact that they're being lazy, and that was a lazy way to tell a story. That, you know, oh, our community finally got enough, you know, resources, so we're gonna finally bring out a new thing, and that is lazy. It is lazy.
Yep.
So,
And the fact that they've stopped doing it is fucking great.
Yeah. So
Well,
I wasn't quite
that
wrong there now, wasn't I? Huh? You started the stream quite confident to
CGs
say
have always
that.
been lazy. CGs have always been lazy, let's be honest.
Oh,
You and I
their
have
use was
That is
lazy.
one of very few things where you and I have ever sat there and agreed.
Not very few.
Come on.
Okay,
that's,
fine, fair
That's
enough.
like one of the rare things that we actually agree about, Yamiks.
Of course it is. But yeah, so...
There's not that much, but on that,
how confident you were to prove me wrong. Oh, how confident you were.
Oh, really?
Oh, yes.
Oh, really?
Yeah. Oh, victory dance on my side. That's it. Everyone loses,
Oh, really?
I win.
Wow.
Oh,
It's been thoroughly interesting, though.
It was interesting indeed. So, I don't know. Is there anything else, perhaps, that you want to mention?
There is one last thing that I
Do
want
tell.
to mention, and that's Project 168.
Oh yeah, right. You didn't even.
Well, yeah, that's it's, you know.
I presume I'm taking part, but I'm not even sure when I'm taking part. So
I need to discuss with you what your plans are, but yes, I am going to get you involved one way or the other, kicking and screaming. Yes, Yamiks.
So what is this project?
So next week, starting on Sunday evening, we are, we is a big catch-all term here, are running a charity venture called Project 168. It is a 168-hour-long charity stream where we're going to be having 6-hour shifts with different Twitch partners taking each shift and playing different games throughout the course of the week, all raising money for Special Effect and StackUp.org, and we are aiming to raise £100,000 in the course of the week. From an elite side, there's quite a few things to be excited about. I'm afraid I'm quickly just going to have to bring up a spreadsheet here, because I need the schedule quickly. I do apologise. I didn't have this ready.
and you wanted to plug it.
I
Oh,
know,
there
I
you
didn't
go.
have the schedule up, I
Professionalism, ladies
apologise.
and gentlemen.
Right.
Round of applause.
From an elite side, I believe the commander will be opening us up with Elite Dangerous on Sunday. I'm going to be doing Elite on the main channel immediately after that. So we're starting off with a couple of Elite streams. Buana is going to be on between 12 and 6 UK time on Tuesday the 13th. On Wednesday the 14th, we've got Bognogus doing Elite between 6 and 12 AM. On Thursday, we have both Malik and Aggie doing Elite from 12 all the way through to midnight. And then on the final day, on the Sunday, we have Kate Click doing Elite Dangerous as well. So they're all Elite streams. Alongside that, we've also got people like DKD and Monty's and Frozen Balls from the Warframe community doing Warframe stuff. We've got a couple of speedrunners in, including the world record holder in a game called Octodad. We have Kit Boga, a huge IRL streamer who does scam baiting, taking part. And we've also got a whole load of creative streamers on the Saturday, including people like Resurrection Fern and Megan Linnaeus and That Violin Chick and a few others.
So yeah, a whole lot of
Basically, if you're
content
about, come and take part.
streamers and whatnot else doing charity, people.
Yep.
Next week, charity. So, who the fuck knows when I'm in? So, we'll see. So yeah, I might appear, might not appear. Who knows? In either case, I might be floating around in the space, beating my own dead horse. Yay!
Indeed. And lastly, I will point out very quickly, during next week, there's also going to be interviews with a few people from Frontier Developments, And also to end Project 168, I'm fighting Zach Antonacci. That's actually finally happening.
So there's that.
So there's that as well.
Oh, and I noticed Pale Gringos noted in the chat that was that a poll or something? But I won, bitch!
But he did a poll. What?
Apparently, I don't know. Maybe that's just his opinion.
I was about to say, I think.
But
that
nonetheless,
was
at least I won over one person.
I
Anyways.
was about to say, he agreed with you from the start, so I'm saying that the fact that he's given me 30 points is a win as far as I'm concerned.
But nonetheless, this is all fine and dandy.
And Cro-Magnon, the charities we're supporting are Special Effect and StackUp.org. Special Effect, you probably know, and StackUp.org are a veterans and serving personnel charity.
So, yeah, let's see. Anything else before we end? Last remarks, at least on your end?
I don't think so.
Okay, my remark is, you're wrong, I'm right. There we go.
No. No.
Fair enough. Right.
Dear, oh dear. Right, well, look,
Yeah.
thank you so much for joining us. It's been great fun. It really has.
It certainly has been interesting. So, yeah.
For your convenience.
So,
I don't know what else to say, I guess. Might as well mute myself and do my own end thingamajig, and that's about it. I think, DJ, you're gonna be continuing on streaming and something.
oh god, yeah. Yeah,
Okay,
I've got
so
hours
there
to
you
go still. Also, give me a poke tomorrow early afternoon, and we'll work out what you're doing with 168. If you drop off TeamSpeak before I speak to you again.
Okie dokie. Well,
Cool.
I'll try and remember. Okie dokie. Well, that's
Okey-dokey.
about it for
Right.
me. That's
Be
it.
good, Yamiks.
See you too.
And I'll speak to you soon.
Indeed.
Sound muted.
Right, so, well, I guess that'd be it on the little discussion there and whatnot else. So, again, big thanks to DJ who joined in and all the other things, of course. So, hopefully I held my own on the lore story battle, not knowing too much of it, but just arguing the concepts of it and whatnot else. Hopefully you found it that rather interesting. This was a bit different and whatnot else, so... this stream probably will be available in the as an unlisted thing, but public. Well, it will be available in the public playlist. So under my channel, under the whole live stream playlist, so you can rewatch it again if you need. And well. I guess might as well say the last couple of things. That is, if you want to support more my work and whatnot else, always consider subscribing, following, or well, there's always Patreon as well. Other than that, Turgeon, probably one day, someday we'll see you in this sort of a thing as well. And I guess that's about it on the Friday. So have a nice well, Saturday, Sunday, or well, weekend in general. So there you go. Sleep tight and all the other things. If it's night for you. Right. Anyways, that's about it on my end. See, let's see, probably Monday as well.